The Balkan has historically been one of the most unstable regions in Europe, and Bosnia and Herzegovina remains the epicenter of political and ethnic tensions. Nearly 3 decades after the end of the war in 1995, the shadows of conflict still loom over the political and social life of the country. A particularly sensitive issue is the status of the Republic of Srpska, one of the 2 entities within Bosnia and Herzegovina, which increasingly demonstrates aspirations towards independence. Republic of Srpska covers 49% of the territory of Bosnia and Herzegovina and is home to about 1.1 million inhabitants, mostly of Serbian nationality. Since the signing of the Dayton Agreement, this entity has maintained a high level of autonomy, but its political leadership, led by Milorad Dodik, frequently tests the boundaries of the agreement, advocating for further independence and even full secession. Such statements and actions raise serious concerns, both within Bosnia and Herzegovina and on the international stage. But what would happen if Republic of Srpska actually declared independence? Republic of Srpska is one of the 2 entities within Bosnia and Herzegovina, created as a result of the war in the early 1990s. Its formation and development are inextricably linked to the dissolution of the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia and the bloody war that followed. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, political and ethnic tensions in Yugoslavia began to rise. The weakening of central authority in Belgrade, the rise of nationalism in all republics, and the economic crisis contributed to an atmosphere of instability. While Slovenia and Croatia embarked on the path to independence in 1991, the situation in Bosnia and Herzegovina was much more complicated due to its ethnic composition. According to the 1991 census, Bosnia and Herzegovina consisted of around 43% Bosniaks, 31% Serbs, and 17% Croats. In November 1991, when it became clear that Bosnia and Herzegovina would likely follow the example of Croatia and Slovenia and declare independence, Serbian politicians in BiH organized a referendum on staying in Yugoslavia. This referendum was not recognized by the Bosniak and Croat parties, but Serbian authorities used it as an argument for their later political decisions. On January 9th, 1992, the Serbian Democratic Party, led by Radovan Karadzic, unilaterally declared the Serb Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina, later renamed Republic of Srpska. This move was a clear signal that Serbian political leaders in BiH did not recognize the sovereignty of Sarajevo. Bosnia and Herzegovina held a referendum on independence in March 1992, in which Bosniaks and Croats voted for secession from Yugoslavia. The Serbian population largely boycotted the referendum, and Bosnian Serbs, with the support of the Yugoslav People's Army and authorities in Belgrade, began a military campaign aimed at creating an ethnically pure Serbian territory within Bosnia and Herzegovina. During the war, the Army of Republic of Srpska, led by Ratko Mladic, carried out ethnic cleansing operations against Bosniak and Croat populations, particularly in eastern Bosnia. The most infamous crime was the genocide in Srebrenica in July 1995, when the forces of the Republic of Srpska army killed over 8,000 Bosniak men and boys. The entity's capital was initially Pale, later moved to Banja Luka. Since the end of the war, Republic of Srpska has consistently tried to expand its autonomy and weaken the joint state institutions. The most vocal proponent of secession is the current leader of the entity, Milorad Dodik, who often threatens the independence of Republic of Srpska, claiming that Bosnia and Herzegovina is an unsustainable state. In the last decade, the authorities of Republic of Srpska have made several decisions that contradicted the Dayton Agreement, including attempts to establish their own army and judiciary. However, the international community and the High Representative for Bosnia and Herzegovina have so far succeeded in blocking these attempts. The military capabilities of all sides would be crucial in determining the further development of the situation. Bosnia and Herzegovina, although divided into two entities, has a unified army consisting of about 16,000 active personnel. This army was formed after the war in 1995, when the Dayton Agreement was established. Although Bosnia and Herzegovina's armament was limited during the war, after 1995, the country began rebuilding its military forces with modernization of equipment and technology made possible through international assistance, primarily via its partnership with NATO. The military capacities of Bosnia and Herzegovina include about 45 tanks, T-55 and M-84, around 30 armored combat vehicles, and several hundred smaller artillery units. Bosnia and Herzegovina also has the capability to mobilize an additional 50,000 reservists, which allows for a rapid response in case of an escalation of conflict. Republic of Srpska does not have a formal army. However, in practice, Republic of Srpska has developed police forces, which include around 8,000 police officers, including special units trained for urban warfare and counterterrorism operations. In the event of conflict, Republic of Srpska would most likely mobilize additional reservists, volunteers, and paramilitary formations. Additionally, long-standing military cooperation with Russia may allow access to advanced weapons and equipment if needed. During the 1990s war, Republic of Srpska relied on the Yugoslav People's Army and Serbian volunteer units. In the event of an escalation of conflict, Republic of Srpska would likely seek assistance from Belgrade, including military support. In terms of military strategy, Republic of Srpska has several key strategic points that would be crucial in the event of military conflict. The Brčko district, located in the northeastern part of the entity, plays a significant role as it connects the two territorial parts of Republic of Srpska. Control over Brčko would be critical for maintaining the territorial integrity of Republic of Srpska, making it one of the main objectives in the early stages of conflict. Serbia, which could provide military support to Republic of Srpska in the event of conflict, has far greater military capabilities compared to Bosnia and Herzegovina. Serbian soldiers are well equipped and trained for modern warfare, and their military budget allows for continuous modernization of military equipment. Although Serbia is formally bound to respect the territorial integrity of Bosnia and Herzegovina, in the event of a serious escalation of conflict, it is highly likely that it would provide military assistance, particularly in terms of logistical and armed support. While Russia would not directly participate in ground combat, its political and military support for Republic of Srpska would be critical in any conflict scenario. Russia could provide logistical support, such as weapons and ammunition, as well as political and diplomatic protection in international organizations like the United Nations. The military capacities of all sides suggest that conflicts would escalate very quickly, with potentially serious consequences for the entire Balkans. Bosnia and Herzegovina, although militarily weaker, could rely on international support from NATO. The moment Republic of Srpska decides to declare independence, the outbreak of armed conflict would be almost inevitable. Despite political pressures, the creation of a new state within Bosnia and Herzegovina, despite the existing Dayton Agreement, would trigger a major escalation in the region. Conflicts would likely begin at several key points, particularly in areas such as Posavina and Brčko, where territorial control must be maintained to preserve the unity of the entity. If Bosnia and Herzegovina decides to take military action, the first target would likely be the attempt to capture strategic cities such as Doboj, Prijedor, and Bijeljina. In the early stages of the conflict, these could be the cities that represent key points for both sides, as their loss or capture would signify a significant shift in the balance of power. In that case, Bosnia and Herzegovina would attempt to quickly mobilize its forces, directing them toward these areas, while Republic of Srpska would respond by utilizing special police forces and volunteers. In the early stages of the conflict, the use of guerrilla warfare by the Republic of Srpska could slow Bosnia and Herzegovina's advance. Due to political uncertainty, the conflict could become prolonged, as both sides would be under heavy international scrutiny, and most strategic points would be subject to urgent negotiations. Once armed conflicts break out, the international community, including the European Union, the United States, and the United Nations, would respond quickly. These sanctions would target the sides that directly support violence, particularly Republic of Srpska and Serbia, if they provide military assistance. The sanctions would likely consist of several key measures. The first would be economic isolation, including bans on trade and financial transactions. This would significantly harm the economies of Republic of Srpska and Serbia, as they would be unable to trade with the EU and other international partners. The imposition of an arms embargo would also be a very likely step, significantly reducing the military capabilities of both sides. Sanctions would likely extend to high-ranking political and military officials, including Milorad Dodik and other key figures supporting secession. Countries like Croatia and Slovenia, which would be directly affected by the new security threats in the Balkans, would likely take steps to strengthen their military capacities at the border with Bosnia and Herzegovina. An international organization like NATO would play a decisive role in responding to this conflict. Although NATO would not directly participate in military operations at the moment, the alliance could deploy military presence in the Balkans to reduce the escalation of the conflict. NATO could also impose political and economic sanctions on all those supporting the independence of Republic of Srpska to try to limit the spread of the conflict to other parts of the Balkans. Once sanctions become comprehensive, the region would face significant economic losses, a decrease in living standards, and a mass exodus of people. These sanctions would not only affect political leaders, but also ordinary people, as the sanctions would have far-reaching economic consequences, including rising unemployment, inflation, and shortages of basic goods. In this scenario, the most likely outcome would be forced negotiations, mediated by international organizations, in which a compromise solution for the future status of Republic of Srpska within Bosnia and Herzegovina would be sought. Even if the conflicts on the ground reached a saturation point and political negotiations reduced the intensity of the fighting, the economic, security, and political consequences would be deep and long-lasting. One of the most significant long-term consequences would be further political instability, not only within Bosnia and Herzegovina, but also across the entire Balkan region. Bosnia and Herzegovina, after the secession attempt of Republic of Srpska, would face new political divisions. In the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina, the population would be under significant stress due to reduced trust in state institutions and divisions among ethnic groups. The international community, particularly the European Union, NATO, and the United States, would have to work to preserve the territorial integrity of Bosnia and Herzegovina, which would involve a continuous military presence in the Balkans. Their intervention would also mean ongoing political tensions, as Russia and other non-Western powers would provide political support to Serbia and Republic of Srpska. This rivalry between Western and Eastern interests would lead to further geopolitical polarization of the Balkans. The termination of international financial and trade links would have dramatic consequences on agricultural production, industry, and infrastructure. Although Serbia might potentially support Republic of Srpska, it would also be affected by sanctions, leading to a decrease in the standard of living and increased political tensions within the country. The overall economic effects of this conflict would be catastrophic, and long-term recovery would be slow and challenging. The scenario of the secession of Republic of Srpska and the creation of a new state represents an extremely dangerous and destabilizing process that would have profound long-term consequences for the region. Political instability, economic collapse, social fragmentation, and security challenges would be just some of the problems faced by Bosnia and Herzegovina. Considering the history of the Balkans and the sensitivity of ethnic and political relations, it is difficult to predict how the situation would unfold. A return to a peaceful and stable Balkans would require further political negotiations, reconciliation among ethnic groups, and, above all, strong international engagement to ensure peace and long-term security in this part of Europe.